Welcome to Colonie TV, the governmental educational channel for the town of Colonie. Hello and welcome to The Money Factor. I'm Richard Naylor, your host. Today's topic is the Colonie Small Business Advisory Council. We'll be talking about how it began, why it's there, and a special program they have coming up. Our guests are Diane Conroy LaCivita, she was involved from the beginning, and Lance Hartwich, he's a local attorney in private practice. I want to welcome you both to the show.
Thank you, thank you. We're thrilled to be here.
Thank you, Richard. Great to be here.
This is really a great initiative that I think began in 2006, but tell us, basically to start out with, what is the Small Business Advisory Council? Wait, what is it?
The council was created actually in 2009.
Oh, I'm a little off.
No, that's okay. We'll take 2006 if you want to give it to us. And it was really an initiative sponsored by the town. They realized that there were issues possibly with some of the processes of small businesses coming into the municipality and the communication or misunderstanding in regards to what requirements were. It was a little more than just hanging a shingle to go into business. And so the supervisor and some of her staff they sent out a survey or a questionnaire to businesses who wanted to participate, and that's how we started.
And how did you get involved, both of you? Lance, do you want to go first?
I'll address that. I was also among the group of local small business people from all variety of walks of life and different forms of business who heard about the SBAC at its inception and said, you know, that's something that sounds very interesting. And you know, it's important to note that this was a group which came together again at the request of the town, seeking input, which was a sort of a refreshing thing to see happen. That a town would actually actively go out and solicit the opinions of local small business people. That was great, but folks came together, and you know, ultimately the group winnowed down a little bit, but they came together and we've stuck with it ever since, talking about ideas to help facilitate lines of communications between the town and local small businesses. You know, one of the things that we would hate to see as people who have started businesses here in the town of Colonie, you know, or have sought to maintain those businesses, you know, frankly, we've made a lot of mistakes. And in making those mistakes, we naturally, the plus side of this is we've gained a lot of experience. It would be a shame if that experience went to waste. And so one of the things that I think everybody who's involved in SBAC seeks to do is to share the experience that he or she has amassed at this point in starting or maintaining a small business here in the town of Colonie, and to give back. You know, we'd hate to see, you know, somebody who's just starting out make some of the mistakes that we've made.
Now, you're talking about mistakes as a council, or mistakes where maybe the business community didn't understand why the rule was there and the town didn't understand the effect of the rule?
Everything from the permitting process. When I refer to mistakes, I'm really thinking of spinning one's wheels.
Okay.
You know, there's no sense in you reinventing the wheel yourself or acting as a discoverer, having to go out there on the ocean in your ship, discovering, you know, what the process is all about, you know, getting new signage, getting approved for some zoning variance,
right.
Anything like that. And you know, it's very helpful for small business people, I think, to go on and have some base of knowledge from which to draw.
We could talk more about that. As a librarian, I'm always interested in how do we preserve and communicate our experiences from the past. Of course, we go back to the dawn of time, but it's the same problem, our collective memory. Diane, how did you get involved?
Well, the administration realized that they wanted to be viewed as pro-business. They're here, no one wants to defer or deter business from coming to the town of Colonie. And so the supervisor realized she'd like to have other small business owners assist her in that. So I was asked to come on board and chair this group. And we started out with what was our mission? What was our purpose? How would we get honest feedback from individuals who were struggling through that process? There's no point in wasting one's time, especially a small business owner. So that's really how we started out.
So you have to really give a sense that something's being accomplished and hope for the process.
It was enlightening to see responses to surveys. We put it out there electronically. All sorts of individuals, it was anonymous, but all sorts of individuals answered the survey questions, and then we quantitatively and qualitatively looked at those answers. And the issues that came up, the levels of frustration over the most basic, simple tasks, I think was very eye-opening to myself and probably the entire committee.
And I guess these things built up. So, one thing, you're frustrated about one thing, and then that's just one thing more, and now you just had it.
Right. Very simple, that just wasn't really communicated well to the town, is to find the building code. So now there's a New York State, it's a universal building code, for an individual to find that code on the town website.
And we have the books here, too.
Yeah. What was like 6 clicks.
Who knows?
There wasn't a direct link to the building code. So for a small business person going on the town website, may be unfamiliar with the site to begin with, and not be able to access the building code and what was the requirements.
So you try to be a one-stop shop, kind of, and make it.
Absolutely. And we're a conduit. We really are. We see ourselves as almost ambassadors for both sides. We're here, we're pro-business, we're pro-Colonie, and we want to see small business survive and grow here.
And the need for volunteers and for people who stick with it, I imagine, is ever present.
Right.
It certainly is.
A lot of times things are exciting in the beginning and everybody's on board, and then it becomes work after about 6 months.
Well, as far as SBAC is concerned, speaking for myself, and I presume to speak for Diane also, but it's a labor of love. We enjoy finding new ways to share our knowledge within the group and to try to express that knowledge outward. When the lines of communications are flowing well between the town government and local small business, all boats rise in the ocean. One of the things, just to add, is that for many years, and I use this as an example, I grew up about an hour west of here in Schoharie County. For many years, businesses, and I'm talking the major retailers here within the town of Colonie, were a major draw, not only for folks living in my town, but I would say, a good hour to 2 hour radius.
And I think Colonie Center still considers itself a regional
Absolutely.
business.
Now, along with that, small businesses in the town of Colonie have also drawn business from far around. So, the town of Colonie for a long time, I think, focused on the major retailers because it saw that, hey, we're getting business from all over the place. I think the focus has shifted now because the major retailers are doing well, and that's good. For a long time, though, I think the focus was not on the small business. The town smartly recognized that there needed to be some focus on that, and it's been great to be part of that.
And I know that we recognize that small business is a pillar in our community because people who live and work and have an investment here personally.
Sure.
A lot of times the larger companies, they'll be regional people, and they take their orders from a headquarters, maybe New York, maybe Chicago, or these days Germany, it's hard to say. So it's great to have local people involved in the process.
Right. Yeah. National statistics, a majority of individuals are employed by small businesses. We need to recognize that they're a part of the fabric of the community.
So you mentioned the word mission. That's always important. Let's kind of flesh that out a little bit.
All right. It took a lot of discussion to really concisely come up with a mission for this group. And so I'm going to turn it over to Lance in that regard.
Well, again, I talked about a labor of love.
Right.
And that was part of it. We are not the first small business advisory council in the world or in the United States or even in New York State. That having been said, we are the first one in the town of Colonie. So,
and as you mentioned, somewhat unusual for local town government to engage the business community actively.
Correct. And we are obviously doing business in the town of Colonie personally, and we live in the town of Colonie. In setting up the mission of the Small Business Advisory Council, we had to take a long view, and some things worked in other areas of the country or other parts of the state. Some things didn't, and those things that did, we sought to try to duplicate. But taking our mission statement, I'd like to be clear here. The Small Business Advisory Council, SBAC, is an independent, nonpartisan, and voluntary group of current and former small business owners of the town of Colonie, working in collaboration and recognized. Working in collaboration with and recognized by the town supervisor. So importantly, we are not part of the town government. We are independent and fiercely so. We're also nonpartisan. The only partisan bent that we have is that we're pro-business.
Right.
But that's not politically.
We should all be pro-business.
We should all be pro-business.
Why not?
That's right. That's right. And we're working in collaboration with the town government. So that's important. We seek to work in collaboration with small businesses. Certainly they can come to us if they wish further information or want to bounce ideas off of us. And the same thing, we wanted to be, I think, and this is hopefully fair to say, the go-to people for the town. If the town sought to change a process or initiate any idea and wished to know how is this going to be impacting small business, we wanted to be the people that they went to and say, what do you guys think? What do people out there on the street think, fellow small business people? So those are some main concepts behind what our mission is. But we also strive to further the shared interests of the diverse small businesses in the town by providing a strong, organized voice with the town government. So, as far as advocating for the small business owner, that is, I think, a crucial part of our function. The small business owner needs to have, I think nowadays, a voice with state, local, and federal government because, the major retailer is always going to have a voice.
Right.
We're here to take care of the little guy.
So you used the word organized,
Yeah.
and you also talked about giving the feedback for a disparate, maybe desparate's not the best word, wide-ranging group of businesses.
Diverse, yeah.
Diverse is a better word. So how do you know? How do you know what they want? I mean, that seems like one of the two challenges, or maybe several challenges that you have in order to keep getting feedback from your community.
Sure. You can start tackling that.
It's interesting, once people find out there is such a entity as the Small Business Advisory Council and that you serve on it, people make sure that if there is a concern or an issue or a question, they bring it to you. And so certain things that we weren't aware of came up, such as signage issues and obtaining a CO and all of those types of things. Time is money, especially for a small business owner. If they have an expectation they'll be opening their door, hanging their shingle and opening that door on a certain date and realize it might be 3 months thereafter, oftentimes that's crucial. That's
Right,
you know,
especially if you have a loan or you have employees that
Absolutely.
you have to pay.
Absolutely. So from all of that feedback, part of our mission as well, or one of our functions, is to create a toolbox of a kind of a generic approach to expectations from the municipality side on if you're planning on opening a business, whether that be a storefront or you're looking at redevelopment or new construction. What should you expect? And who should you expect that from? So really kind of taking this very complicated process of opening a business and making it user-friendly.
Right.
That when I was talking earlier, if I could just add, when
Please.
I was speaking earlier about how we don't want to see people reinvent the wheel,
Right.
Absolutely.
or make those errors that have been made in the past. This toolbox is one of the things that we're really talking about. People can go and check out our toolbox eventually once it's up and running, and there'll be a lot of information in there that hopefully small business people will find useful.
I'm still curious now, how do you get people to hear about the Small Business Council? Or does it just spread and people really, business people really already know about it, so it's no longer a problem?
Well, I think we're always growing in that regard.
We're on TV right now.
Right, there you go. We're here, yay. We work in collaboration with the two chambers that are present here, Small Business Advisory.
Okay, and they have networks all over.
Absolutely.
So if you tap into the chambers, you're getting into a lot of the people who communicate together.
Right. We meet on a monthly basis, and oftentimes a member of the committee will come and say, I was talking, anonymously, of course, to a particular business, and these were their concerns. How can I serve as an ambassador, as a conduit between the issue that they are now confronting and a solution?
Okay.
So we are, slow but sure, kind of almost, I guess, grassroots at this point. People are finding out about us.
It's been very organic, that's for sure.
Okay. And you also mentioned that when people heard that there's somebody who's listening, and there's a pent-up need to express frustration or just to communicate a problem, they're going to express themselves to you.
Correct.
So you find that people are
honest.
just going to find you.
Yeah.
So what have you done so far? I guess it's kind of like it's 2009. You've been 3 years. How has the environment changed for the better? And I guess maybe a couple examples of things you've worked on.
Sure. Do you want to start?
Well, one of the things certainly in our infancy as an organization, of course, part of the issue that we had to resolve first was, how we were going to formulate our mission. We had to take a long view with that, as I said. So that process took some time. Certainly there have been members who've come in and out, and there's been, as I said, a winnowing down of the membership ultimately. But one of the, I think, greatest achievements that we've accomplished so far was the conduct of the survey, which I think, if you have specific questions, we can perhaps address that. But it was through that survey that I think the town got a clearer sense from all those businesses who did participate, got a clearer sense of what some current concerns were. And I know that some of those were addressed. And Diane, perhaps you can talk about the specific one. I think you and I were talking before the show about some of those. But I think the survey got the town to be able to have a pulse on the, perhaps that's not the correct metaphor, but to have a finger on the pulse of the small business environment and what small business people are thinking.
So you really did. You created quite a list probably from that survey. So that's kind of an answer to my question. Right. And probably these issues are not something brand new that are popping up every day. It's how do I get businesses, how do I get the public, if I'm retail, to see my store, if I can only have a sign this big and I'm way off the road or whatever it is.
Right, zoning issues, CO issues, all of those things. Also, what we did during this time is we educated the committee. All of us kind of assume we live here, we work here, we know the community. Everyone had a different perception, so for almost a year at each of our committee meetings, we had a department head come and talk about what they do, how they do it, what their expectations are, what are the rules and the laws and the regulations in regards to function, you know.
So what's local, what's
Absolutely.
state, what can we fix, what can't we fix?
I learned
Why do we
so
do these
much,
things?
why we do what we do, and that maybe oftentimes we have to do it that way.
Right.
You know, just the whole educating piece was very eye-opening.
I think I agree. We learned more about wastewater management than we ever anticipated that we would.
White collar crime.
White collar
and-
crime. That was one of the most interesting aspects of it. At least personally, my membership thus far has been to get to know the folks at the town who are in charge of the various departments, what it is that the departments do. When you're a customer in almost any circumstance, it may not be clear what's going on in the back office, right? And so it was important, particularly if we are going to fulfill our roles as conduit or liaison folks, that we have an understanding of what's going on in the back office in order to perhaps facilitate the sharing of ideas, from small business, how the back office could be run more efficiently, how it could be perhaps geared toward a different end, certain processes. So, at any rate, that was a great activity for us to become engaged in, so that we learned what's going on.
So it's great that you two have been with the program for the 3 some odd years that it's been going on, because as you're saying, you've learned a lot. And I imagine if you're opening a business, you don't really want to now suddenly have to do a class on how government works.
Right.
You'd like to go to somebody and say, I have a problem, can you help me fix it?
Right.
And
Or
so-
I have an idea and I'd like to implement it.
Right.
Right.
But you guys have a lot of experience now and knowledge that other people don't have to recreate and keep. So it's a very valuable thing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and most importantly, if there's one takeaway, perhaps from our discussion here today, is that the small business owner now, here in the town of Colonie, can be assured that their voice will be heard. Certainly the town government has our ear, and the small business owner can be assured that we on the SBAC have their ear, and vice versa.
Right. So it's-
Not to mix metaphors again, but the lines of communication are open, and you don't have to be concerned about your voice being drowned out now.
and it's great if somebody can call you guys
Yeah.
to help with a problem, as well as call the town. Of course, they can call the town, but if there's an issue that they don't understand, they can also call you.
Right.
Right.
I mean, we're not going to get your cat out of a tree.
Right. That can be difficult anyway.
speaking
We have 2
Right.
I'm
cats.
speaking metaphorically.
Right.
That isn't our role. Our role is, however, when you have an issue affecting your business, you need somewhere to go where governmental involvement is needed. You can certainly look to us, at least for information as to the processes, as to what to do and what not to do.
Now, do you have goals for the next year or 2 or 3? I find it difficult to have a long-term view of things because things change so fast, but
Right.
you have to know where you're going.
Right. Well, we're finishing up our toolbox, and that, again, should be launched in the beginning of 2013. And that'll be available both electronically and in writing. And we're planning on spreading that information via the town website. We'll have our own page off of the planning department.
Okay.
And then also through the chambers. So we might get on the speaking circuit, the group, the individuals within the committee. And then also we're looking at educating really almost to another level. And that is, so often as a business owner, people approach you and they say, I'd like to go into business. How do I do it? Should I do it here? What would you suggest? Do you have time for a cup of coffee? So the committee got together and we've decided we're going to really facilitate that opportunity in the town for individuals in the new year who are kind of sort of maybe thinking about becoming entrepreneurs and small business owners.
Great.
So we're absolutely thrilled about that because I think we're really filling a void. There's seriously a need, there's a request for that type of information to be readily available.
I see two things we haven't covered. One, you got a great program coming up.
Yep.
And also, we have to make sure people can find you when they need you. I know the town website, but if there's a phone number or contacts information, we can also put that up on the TV.
Sure.
So we'll do that at the end.
Okay.
But let's talk about the program. It looked like a wide-ranging program you've got coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's to take place on Wednesday, January 16th. It's over at the Crossings in the Meeting House, and it's free. We're going to have light food, realizing if people come at 5:30, it goes to 8:30, that they may be hungry. We want to keep them for
Are you
the
talking
3
about
hours.
evening or morning?
Oh gosh,
I know business people get up early, but 5:30 sounds
No,
like torture.
you know, we want to grab the. Oftentimes, it's interesting when people approach you about possibly going into business. They have this idea, they have this talent. They really want to see if they can possibly implement it as maybe a second career. You know, those individuals often have a day job, so we wanted to gear it towards them so they had the opportunity to attend. So it's 5:30 to 8:30 at night.
Okay,
PM.
right.
And so and you don't have to even be in the town of Colonie. You know, we'd like to, you know, if you're a resident of another municipality and you want to come and maybe look at starting your business in Colonie, we'd love to have you attend.
Absolutely.
And the event is broken up into 3 sections, and it's really kind of put out there in layman's terms. So we're not going to overwhelm you with expectations. We just want to be that conduit, as Lance had said, of information and how to go about possibly becoming a small business owner. So the first section is, so you want to go into business. And we're just making available all the resources that are available within the region. Mentoring opportunities, entrepreneurial classes, local entities, statewide entities that are there, that are set up often at no cost for you to come up with a business plan. You know, really to look at what you're hoping to do and whether it's feasible. The second section is obtaining financing. Because, you know, time is money and
Right.
business needs money.
And I've heard small businesses say, I can't borrow money unless I don't need it.
Right,
You know, in
right.
this environment, sometimes it's difficult. When you really need the money, they're thinking, well, I don't know if I want to trust you.
Right, absolutely. And in all sincerity, the economic climate we currently find ourselves, it is difficult to go to a normal bank and obtain a business loan if you don't have a very concise business plan.
So that would be a big help.
Oh, absolutely. And we're looking at not just necessarily loans, we're looking at options and opportunities for forgivable loans, grants that are available, all sorts of avenues people might not have even realized existed. And then the third section of the night is staying in business. You know, I think the average business now, 1 out of every 5 survives. Most are done for within their first 3 years of operation. So
There are a lot of scary numbers about that.
yeah, there are. And so we're hoping that we can provide the information, the resources, so that once you're in business and you've obtained all this wonderful financing, you can stay in business.
Right.
Yeah.
So that sounds good.
Yeah.
Say the date again.
Sure, absolutely. January 16th, it's a Wednesday night from 5:30 to 8:30 in the Meeting House at the Crossings Park, and that's off Albany Shaker Road.
Now, do they have to do anything to sign up? You want them to call you first?
We would, and actually the Town of Colonie Planning Department is handling that for us, and their number is 783-2741.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah, and we want everybody to come.
So you'll be there also, Lance?
I shall be there also, sir. Yes.
That's
I look
great.
forward to it very much.
You want to give a few examples of the people that will be presenting?
Oh, absolutely. We have every level of government and nonprofit. We have some academia. So we have someone from Congressman Tonko's staff whose job it is to find grants for business people wanting to go into business or in business wanting to expand. We have people from the New York State ESD, Empire State Development. They're going to talk about the consolidated funding applications. Those are also funding opportunities for people who are, you don't have to be a nonprofit. Oftentimes people think, oh, I need a grant, so I'm going to have to be a nonprofit. You don't. There's lots of monies available in that regard. SUNY Albany will be coming and they'll be presenting their SEED program, which is an entrepreneurial program. It's 8 weeks in length, and if you complete that successfully, there's actually opportunities for a $35,000 loan at the end. We have both chambers. The Albany Colony Regional Chamber will be presenting about their entrepreneurial program, their funding sources. They have money they lend, and also the Colony Chamber of Commerce, which is our community chamber.
Okay.
Yeah, and I should give a plug. Steve Hyder, the police chief for the town of Colonie, will be there talking about white-collar crime. Most bankruptcies of small business currently are because of misappropriation of funds, and oftentimes it's internal theft that people don't realize is happening.
Right.
If for no other reason, you should come for Chief Hyder's presentation.
He's a wonderful presenter.
Yeah, I've heard some pretty scary things about the mistakes that people make when they're doing their bookkeeping or letting people write checks and not checking each one, and so many simple things that can be done to prevent this theft.
Right, right.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Well, I think, is there anything that I missed that you wanted to add?
I think one other piece, if you don't mind me adding
please.
in regards to the 16th, is there's going to be a big piece about demographics and location. You know, you think about opening a business, location, location, location. So we have several town departments, the LDC, which is the Local Development Corp, the IDA will be there. You know, talking about when you're looking at, you know, maybe it won't be on the corner where you live, but what other locations within the municipality might be favorable for your type of business?
Right, that sounds like a really important thing.
It is.
I know some of the people in town are just so knowledgeable about every street and every corner.
Right, right.
I'm often just in awe of, they'll say some street and I don't know where it is, and they'll say, oh, that's just next to this and that, and it's great.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us,
Yeah,
Richard.
this was great. Thank you.
Excellent work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show, that you tune in again next time, and that you have a great week. Take care. Welcome to Colonie TV, the governmental educational channel for the town of Colonie.